Hello everyone, my name is Vlogs. In this video, we're actually going to be taking a look at one avenue where Snapdragon just demolishes the competition being both Intel and AMD. In this particular video, we're going to be comparing against an Intel laptop that I have. There are differences with regard to battery configuration. So this is a 70 watt hour battery, and I'm going to be comparing it to a laptop that has basically a 57 watt hour battery, and we'll be comparing battery life gains between those two with that in mind. It's still outrageously better, but it's a nice, fun 2004% better number. Let's get into it. So up first, we're going to be taking a look at an Intel 13th Gen i5 1345U APU. Now, this is a 12-hour standby test that I did on all the different platforms. And if we take a look at our Intel platform, this chart, I believe, lines up with what a lot of people consider to be an average use case for how they anticipate their laptop to be when they close their lid and open it up 12 hours later, and they went from 100% battery life to 80% battery life. That is abysmal. And why, for the most part, I've been using either Hibernate or I just completely power down whenever I'm done. Let's get back to the graph and start breaking down what's going on. So when I started off this test, we were at 100% battery life. And when I closed the lid, we had 56.726 watt hours remaining in the battery. 12 hours later, when I opened up the lid, the immediate percentage that I had was 80.1%. And we went down to 45.942 watt hours remaining on the battery. This is basically almost 1 watt an hour for this machine to be in standby. Now, you may think 1 watt really isn't that much, but consider this. It's a 57 watt hour battery. If we're taking 1 watt an hour to be in standby, that means you're going to have 57 hours of standby time. So that's 2.5 days. Meaning, if you close this lid 24 hours later, you open it up, if you're at 100%, you're going to be at 50% battery just with the computer doing nothing. This isn't even with it doing Windows updates, which can happen in modern standby. This particular result that we're looking at is horrible and what echoes what everyone has been saying about Windows Modern Standby. So when we take a look at this, great, we know that Windows Modern Standby is atrocious. How does it fare in Snapdragon's X Elite ARM processors? Now, I did this in 2 different tests. I did it in high performance mode as well as efficiency mode, seeing if there would be any difference at all when they're in either state when we go into a standby mode. So up first, let's take a look at this hilarious graph where we're in high performance mode and we do a 12-hour standby test. So when we start off the test at 100% battery life, we're indeed at 70.01 watt hours remaining on the battery. Like, we are really locked in on that 70 watt hour battery mark, which is what the laptop is supposed to have. So great, we're at 70.01 watt hours remaining on the battery. I close the lid and 12 hours later, I open it up and we're at 69.31 watt hours remaining. Within 12 hours, we consumed 0.7 watts. Okay, that's within 12 hours, meaning we're taking 0.056 watts per hour. Okay, like 0.06 of a watt per hour is what Snapdragon in high performance mode is doing. So that's hilarious. What I love about this is it is a 70 watt hour battery, and in standby in 12 hours we consumed 0.7 watts, meaning that we can just move the decimal place over 2 times to understand how long we're going to have. So if 12 hours is 0.7, that means 120 hours would be 7 watts that we used, and 1,200 hours would be 70 watt hours. So this has 1,200 hours of standby time. This laptop, this Asus laptop, has 1,200 hours of standby time. Now, what about efficiency mode? Let's take a look at efficiency mode. So now take a look at this. I did efficiency mode right after this. So you can see we have 69.31 watt hours remaining. In the next chart over, we're starting at 69.31 watt hours remaining on the battery. Another 12-hour test and exactly 0.7 watts used. So we're in alignment, both high performance mode and efficiency mode. It doesn't matter what it is. When you put the laptop into standby, it is only going to use 0.06 of a watt per hour. Now, you may be thinking, well, is there any difference with how Windows sees this? And in fact, no. In Windows, when we challenge it and say, hey, what type of sleep states do you have? You can see both of them say standby, S0, low power idle, network connected. This is modern standby. So both of them are, in fact, using Windows Modern Standby. It's just that ARM Snapdragon is using sensationally less. And what is hilarious about this is, even though on the Intel laptop I have a 57 watt-hour battery, and if I take 1 watt per hour on standby, I have 57 hours of standby life. And on this particular laptop, because I get 0.7 watts for every 12 hours, that means I get 1,200 hours of standby life on this laptop. And really what people want is they just want to open up their laptop, have it begin, do the Windows Hello, automatically start up, and then give you 2,004% better standby life compared to this Intel laptop. Obviously, other laptops with different battery sizes will be different, but that 2,004% was a pretty nice round number, so I'm going to stick with it. So that's a look at Snapdragon X Elite standby time. It is sensationally better. We're not looking at it as just like, oh, I closed my lid and I opened it up and I got 1% used. That number doesn't really mean anything, especially because battery capacities can differ. So when we get down to the raw numbers of actually watts used, it is sensationally different. And we're looking at something that's almost 20 times better in terms of standby life. And that is a huge consideration with regard to a laptop. And overall, the CPUs are very good on the Snapdragon X Elite. So keep that in mind when you're looking around. And if you don't really need to be gaming on it, that's actually a worthwhile thing to be doing. But there are still some considerations with Windows Prism, Microsoft Prism, and the emulation feature that's going on. It still needs to be fully baked. There aren't perfect use cases there that exist. Thank you very much to my YouTube channel members as well as my Patreon members. Your support means the world to me. I hope this video was informative. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.